Hey, everybody, welcome back to Android App Addicts episode 529. This is the show where we talk about Android apps, Android hardware, and whatever else happens to cross our mind. My name is Mark, occasionally, on rare moments, known as the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockrell. And joining me this week, as always, because really, this show wouldn't be this show without him, is the DoorToDoorGeek, Mr. Steve McLaughlin. Hey, Dor, how you doing?
Hey, Mark. I'm going to say I'm doing good because I'm really not doing bad. It's one of those things. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but work is infuriating just because I always want to do more. It's really hard to do everything I want to do. And I'm still getting paid though, so that's good. That's nice.
Yeah, paycheck is nice.
Yeah. Kids acting completely insane because they're kids. I would say that's what they're good at, but really I'm not completely sold on that when I say that out loud.
And Eric is not with us tonight because he is not feeling well, and this is like week 5 of him not feeling well. So, I don't know what else to say to that. Thoughts and prayers. What that's the standard internet term, right? Thoughts and prayers. So get back to us soon, Eric.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with him, nor am I sure what's going on with this. The video people see it now. For some reason, it in the bottom corner, the video is upside down. When I'm showing our heads, but it shouldn't be. So I'm quite easily confused. I'm an idiot. Wait a minute, did I say that out loud? Okay, got that. Okay, and that was just a total distraction. I could not stop myself, Mark. Yeah, I mean, and here's the honest to God truth of it. Everybody's getting older. The only constant with age is you're going to have health things pop up from time to time, and the only question is are they debilitating or are they just bumps in the road? And I'll say this: right now, we don't know about Eric. I know he said he feels like crap. I'm not being nosy. My wife even like says to me, "So what's going on?" I said, I don't know." She said, "What do you mean you don't know?" I mean, I don't know. He didn't tell me. Well, you didn't ask him? No, no, I'm a man. I just said, "Is everything okay?" He said he's in pain. I said, "Well, is there anything I can do?" But I'm not saying, well, what do you mean? Oh, how? I'm not going to sit there and just dig into his personal life. If he does not relinquish such information, I'm not going to go digging for it.
Yeah. That's classic man woman. You know, two men can spend all day together and say 12 words, and it's perfectly fine.
Well, and those words don't have to be intimate. They don't have to be life changing. It can literally just be, where do you want to go for lunch?
Yeah. Last weekend, in fact, I went with a buddy of mine. We've got a friend who's fallen on hard times, and we went to do some work for them that they can't do for themselves. And we spent all day shoveling and doing man work stuff. And we talked a lot about what needed to be done, but we didn't talk at all about our feelings or our family relationships. And at the end of the day, we both are like, this was a lot of fun. I had a great time today. It's just man stuff.
Yeah, and I tried to explain to my wife, the reason I talk to those people is so I don't have to hear that kind of stuff. I talk to you for that kind of stuff, and let's just say that night I had to make her a steak dinner just to, try to relinquish some points.
Well, anyway, back to Eric. Come back soon. We hope you are feeling better. We miss you. The show is not the same without you.
Yeah, and there is one thing I gotta. He's gonna listen to this, so I can't hide it from him. There's a company called Pine64. Pine64 is one of the better mini PC companies. They make Raspberry Pi like boards, but they don't even mention the Raspberry Pi in any of their marketing material. They do small computers. They've done laptops before. I had their Pine book. It was destroyed in a car accident when I got rear-ended. But and they're coming out with some other things. But the interesting one is they're coming out with a tablet now. It's going to be crap because it's a tablet. There's no such thing as a good tablet as far as I'm concerned. But it's a $79 tablet with a magnetic connecting keyboard for just 99 bucks. And it's going to be running Linux, not Android. And he seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable with Linux. So it's the kind of thing I could see him actually using and enjoying because he's the tablet guy. You know, he always wants the next tablet. Doesn't have great specs, has a huge bezel. The bezel's literally like an inch, but it is a tablet.
Yeah, I was big on the convertible form factor that Windows, did back in the day with the handwriting and the stylus thing. I really thought that was the wave of the future. It combined the best of a handwriting tablet and a computing device. And even the tablets today that can do that have abandoned that functionality. They're just touch screens that also have a pen. And I found tablets just completely uninspiring since like 2003. They're bigger phones. That's really all they are.
Yeah. Lenovo did showcase another device. If you remember, Mark, they had the oh man, I can't remember what it's called. Ivor bought one, I bought one. It was basically a laptop, but the bottom where the keys were, they were not physical keys. You could basically put a piece of paper on it, draw on it, and it was a genuine Wacom type tablet
Right.
on
I
the
remember
bottom.
that.
The next generation one that they showed at CES, it's basically now finally to the point where it's literally 2 screens. And the bottom screen, it does have Wacom functionality. So I like seeing companies at least experiment, but I don't see it being successful still, especially with the foldable phone. Is going to be complete junk when it comes out, complete hokiness, and it's going to literally take 2 to 3 years to actually come into its own of any magnitude, if it will. I believe they're just going to try to shove tablet features on them next because somebody has convinced them that there's some money to be made somewhere with tablets.
Yeah, so I think the market for the foldable phone is a phone, or the foldable screen rather, is a phone that can be a large screen when you need it. It's the combination phone tablet thing, but without having to deal with carrying around a 10-inch iPad all the time. I think that's going to be the sweet spot. But yeah, you're right. We're years away from that. And what happens when you fold it? Is there a seam? Will it look good when it's open? How many times can you fold it? Does it wear out? Are the pixels going to burn in? There's a lot of unknowns about that.
Oh yeah, because that's the gimmick. Anybody who gets one of these things is going to put it through at least 10,000 opens and closes, and it needs to be able to survive that, or else, people are gonna go completely crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, the overlap between people who would buy a foldable phone and people who have zero tolerance for a crease of any kind in the middle of their screen is pretty high. That Venn diagram is almost a circle. And these people, myself included, we're obsessive compulsive sort of people. And if it's not a perfect display, it will be a useless device.
Yeah, the kind of device that you give to a child and then you go get something that's real.
Right. Wait, guy in a tub says Raspberry Pi just opened a brick and mortar store. I hadn't heard about that.
It's over in the UK. It's the kind of thing. I mean, it's literally like a South American dictator demanding they're going to fund to find a cure for cancer. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. This company, this organization is supposed to be for the betterment of the third world and for spreading compute power to every corner of the globe. And they open what, at least in the one screenshot I saw, a picture looked almost like an Apple like store. It's like, what the hell I don't understand that at all. I don't know. I don't know.
And the people who buy Raspberry Pis aren't interested in a store experience. They're the DIY people.
Well, they don't need it. I mean, even if you walk in a store and you see all kinds of projects put together showcasing what kind of things are capable, I have no idea because I mean, I would suspect 90% of the people who say I want to buy a Raspberry Pi already know of different things to do than just vote. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a business write off. I have no idea, Mark.
It's an oddity for sure.
Well, here's the thing. They're successful for a reason. I am only moderately successful. So, they must know something I don't.
Fair enough. Just a little aside, I mentioned at the beginning of the year, I think some weeks ago, that I've set myself a challenge to make 50 things, and I ask for this audience to keep me accountable in that. To that end, I have created a very simple, uncategorized, undescribed Google album. I don't even know if I can put descriptions and headers and photos, and I haven't even tried in a Google photo album, but I have given that to Dor, and I've asked him to share that on the show notes here. And it's just snapshots of stuff I've made. That simple. So if you're interested in the stuff I've made, you're welcome to see that. Some of it is fancy. Some of it is not. Literally a couple of times I have just cut holes in a piece of wood and used that piece of wood for a purpose, but that counts as doing a thing as far as I'm concerned. This week's project, I just finished it tonight before I came in here to do this podcast. I made a redneck drill press out of an old Black & Decker drill that I've had for about 20 years. And I know I could go to Harbor Freight and buy a new one for $50, but what's the fun in that?
Well, to me, part of the thing is, I don't want to say discovery because that's too whatever of a term, but you have to sometimes go through the motions just to learn, even if it's something you literally only use twice. Because everyone knows if you go to Harbor Freight and buy one, it might only work twice.
That's a fair point.
No.
Yeah. So there we go. Just a little aside from our aside. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into a little listener feedback. Our friend Brent, responding to emails and discussions, recommends Pocketcasts as a podcast player. He says for a small one-time fee, you can listen from the browser synced. That's a cool feature.
Yeah, there's no way in hell they're getting a dime from me. We've just had huge rumblings in the podcasting world. Let's just say that. I said less than a year ago, everything's about to end. Doom, doom, doom. It's coming. Hollywood and industrial and corporate America is going to try to squeeze every penny out of everybody. This is the beginning. Pocket Casts was bought by NPR. So now every bit of your data is now being shared amongst advertisers for a fee. They're making you pay for the product, and then they're using all your data to make more money. It's a very unbelievably sketchy, dirty agreement they have. Two, we have Spotify buying Gimlet Media, who I never heard of even 6 months ago, but apparently they're big. And they also bought Anchor, who I truly believe is one of the scummiest companies I've ever seen in my life involved in podcasting. So all of these Hollywood types, I mean, I literally heard Ron friggin' Burgundy, the not even real person, Will Ferrell, who can't apparently get a job and can't do a successful website. Funny or Die has been a colossal failure, bleeding money left and right. Now he's doing a podcast trying to capitalize where he's going to probably have 40 people working on it. They're going to probably have 15 minutes of ads for every 30 minutes of show, and people are going to keep downloading it. The end is nigh, people. With corporate America coming in, destroying podcasts like it is, expect there to be literally like leftover radiation of this death and despair soon enough. And Pocketcast, I blame them as being the very first company to completely sell out and completely hand over all of its information to the corporate types. Because Apple was doing it and everyone knew they were doing it from day one because that's what they do. Sorry.
How do you really feel about it, Dor?
I feel very personal. I'm not in, okay, Penn Jillette, Ron Burgundy, all these other people. They're into it for a career. They're into it for a livelihood. I'm into it for a passion. Just like that huge, horrible slop fest of the Super Bowl we watched last week. One of the most ugliest displays of football I've seen in like a long time because virtually every player on the field was out there for a paycheck. It was very obvious the players that were out there for passion. I would much rather do things for passion reasons. I would much rather communicate with people doing things for passion reasons. And I would much rather see people doing things for passion being more successful and not just people who are knowledgeable about squeezing pennies out of people.
But just because people want to make money off of podcasting doesn't mean that free podcast and podcasting as a hobby is going away. I think you're drawing a false connection there.
Oh, no. The podcast realm is going to be decrepit. It's going to hurt horribly. Right now, we're having conferences focused around podcasters, and they're not all focused around just making money. There's literally people who are doing events and fest because of the passion of them. But when companies figure out how difficult it is to make money, there's going to be a purge of podcasting, and then there's going to be a blowback from people uninstalling podcast players on their devices because this celebrity or that celebrity stopped doing it because they couldn't make enough money. I'm going to be here no matter what. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I'm sure out of now the 170 podcasts I subscribe to, most of them will still be around too, because I don't listen to celebrities unless, of course, I personally agree with their viewpoint on things, which doesn't happen too often. But I mean, it has gotten really bad, is what I'm going to say. You look at the suggested podcast to listen to, and a lot of interfaces, and wow, there is some horribly rancid stuff.
Well, it's welcome to the internet. It's where the dregs of humanity get a 50,000 watt blowtorch. Yeah, Miles, one of the other hosts of my show, sent me a link this week, just yesterday actually, to a TechCrunch article. Anchor.fm. I don't know if you've heard about that, but Anchor.fm is trying to set up a hosting.
No, they don't exist anymore.
Sponsored.
They're gone.
Thing.
No, they don't exist anymore. That's old news. They were bought out by Spotify.
Well, I mean, they're still calling it Anchor.fm. It's on the page.
Yeah, well,
page right now.
They already said it's going away. Everything's going into Spotify.
But the point there being, it's the idea is a one-click distribution thing, where they insert ads, automatically, and this will, it will lead to some pretty low quality, but it will also perhaps get some people into podcasting because it's not going to be an expense to them. It's not going to be a drain. I see it as democratizing. I'm not as negative on it as you are.
If it was a company doing it just to help get people into the system, period, I would agree with you, but they're not. They already said that they're going to cut all that kind of stuff off. They're not there for people. They're there for celebrities. They already said that they're going to plan on spending $29 million this year alone buying up networks and talent, because all they want to do is just figure out the best way to monetize. And they believe if they have enough talent, they're going to be able to do it. And if you read their license agreement with Spotify, it is not friendly to the creator whatsoever. I, for one, cannot post my content to such a platform. And if they are, and if they do have my content, I'm not posting it to them. They're just capturing it and redeploying it. And there was one out there that was doing that, and they were inserting ads into the middle of our show. And I promptly faked a cease and desist letter and sent it to them. And they did take our content off.
Yeah. And you probably use the same copy left that I do, which says you can redistribute it all you want, but you got to leave it in one piece to do it.
Yeah.
And that's fair. But yeah, I don't know. I just, if somebody came to me and wanted to buy me as a talent, I would see that as a good thing, not a bad thing, as long as what they wanted was what I'm already doing. Right. I'm not going to sell my company. I'm not going to sell my name, but if they wanted to put me on the payroll and say, here, podcast for money, I'm not really seeing how that's a bad thing.
They wouldn't agree to my terms, which is I have complete creative control, period. They wouldn't agree to that. And I'm all for reducing friction, but it seems like in 2019, when you reduce friction enough, you're compensating, and what you're losing is some amount of freedom.
Yeah. There will be a consolidation. That's a given. Everything happens like that. You know, there used to be a million blogs in the world, and now there's pretty much WordPress. You know, a lot of different people on that platform. And I could see that happening, that there will be 2, maybe 3 podcast platforms, and I don't think iTunes, frankly, will be among them. That everybody just, when you think podcasting, you think, maybe it'll be Spotify, but whatever it is, it'll be synonymous with podcasting. And there'll be other things out there, and people who have the savvy to go and load a URL, an RSS feed into a player will be able to do that. But most people will go to this aggregator service, and it'll be like, going on the Roku and just clicking a button, or, talking to Alexa or whatever. And that doesn't scare me. That's just the natural maturation process of a new thing. The earliest television shows were just radio programs on film, and the earliest podcasts are just that. They're talk radio. That's what this show is, right? This is talk radio, just happens to be on the internet, and it can't continue in that form. It has to grow and become something else. And that doesn't scare me.
Yeah, and it doesn't scare me. I just hate when we see monopolies creep up. I want as much competition as possible. And when Spotify buys Anchor, and Anchor for the last year was doing really damn good as far as I could tell. They were growing a hell of a lot. Gimlet Media bought a couple other things that I listened to. So obviously they were doing something right as well. I like seeing competition, and Google is about to, we have Google I/O coming up in less than 3 months. Before then is when people expect them to offer their basic automated transcription service for podcast, aka the spoken word will finally be searchable. If they do that right, I can see Google competing with whoever it ends up being the most popular platform for podcast. And that's what I really want to see. I want to see these companies fighting for our clicks, fighting for our eyeballs. Having now Spotify, Gimlet, and Anchor all into one company, I just, it just irks me.
I wonder about the viability of audio only content in this video world. I mean, right now, podcasting appeals to 2 classes of people, the drivers and the joggers. And that's about it. Everybody else wants video content.
Yeah. I mean, you have to either commute, do a lot of exercising, or a lot of housework is like the only kind of like 3 activities I can even categorize would listen to audio for any length of time. Now, I also will say again, I know there's something wrong with me. I've now exceeded 24 hours of podcast listening every day for the month of February. We're on February 7th. I've listened to 7 days, 9 hours as of before we started this of podcasting. I know I'm unusual. I guarantee you, if we had our listeners tell us how many hours a week they listen to podcasts, it would probably be 10 or less.
Mm.
Now, the bad thing is, with that little amount of podcast listening, it makes more sense that a lot of podcasts don't make it to episode 20, because there's only a finite number of people who can listen. And when they listen for only 10 hours, that's only a couple things they can subscribe to. So it makes competition quite fierce.
Yeah, I'll just point out that we are episode 529. The Geek Ran podcast, my other podcast, is episode 348 will be our next one. So we've been here a while. We've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, and the main thing I didn't like about Pocketcast was just how bloated and heavy it was. And it's because, again, I'm a weird fella. I'm now up to 5x on most podcasts. And if I, on any device I ever had, would load Pocketcast and try to speed up the audio, it wouldn't be able to handle it. And I know I'm in the 1%. I am Abby. I am Abby normal. For most people who might speed up to 1.5, I'm sure it's a great application. And don't get me wrong, I know it's beautiful. I know it's very visually pleasing, but I'm a function over form kind of fella.
I'm down with the peons that only listening at 3x. You know, I just can't hang with you, Door. Was it Jonathan Nadeau? I think he said he listens to audiobooks at 8x. I think I remember him saying that one time.
Well, he did, but then he got a specialized player as because of his condition. It went up to, I want to say, 14x. And he was able to listen to audiobooks at like 14x, where literally a 40-hour audiobook was like an hour and a half. It was just ridiculous. And he turned it on and we just giggled because I couldn't understand a damn thing they were saying. It just sounded like somebody on drugs just going crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. When I listen to 3x, you know, when I finally slow down a podcast to 1x, it literally sounds like everybody's drunk. I can't imagine what that would be like for him. It would be like he's in some sort of time vortex if he tried to listen at 1x.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, we've been at this like 25 minutes or so. Maybe we should actually bring an app to Android App Addicts.
Hey, well, the first thing I want to mention really quick, it's Android Auto related. Two things. One, Toyota said yesterday that every vehicle they have, all 6 vehicles, are going to have Android Auto in them. And I got to tell you, I'm not a Toyota fan whatsoever. I don't like paying the Toyota tax. I know they're fine vehicles. My mechanic, who's also my uncle-in-law, tells me every time he sees me, if I don't get a Toyota, I'm stupid because they just last. They're just solid. They're just dependable, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Just fix the damn car. But they're getting Android Auto. That's going to be a huge plus to them, to be honest. But the second thing is now when you do Google navigation, it actually tells you what the speed limit is on the road.
Yep, that's true on my Google Maps too. That happened just this weekend.
Then yeah, I first noticed it on my Android Auto. Then when I drove my van, I just had it on my phone, and I still saw it. And me and you were talking before the last episode about the magic word liability, and be that it just because of liability reasons, I'm shocked that Google puts it on there because you've been on a road, Mark, where the speed limit goes 30, 40, 35, 45, 30, and it's the same road. So,
Right.
you know, people are going to say, well, the Google Maps told me it was 40. You can't give me a ticket. So, I mean, and you know, someone's going to try to say that. So it just shocks me that they're willing to put themselves out there and put the speed limit on there. But I love it. I love it.
So I've been using an app called Velociraptor for several years that does not only that, but also I can tell it to warn me if I get to going too fast. So I have it set if I get 6 miles over the speed limit, it beeps at me just to keep me honest. And when I first noticed it was the Velociraptor is just an overlay onto Google Maps, and I couldn't read the speed limit on Velociraptor because it was overlaid onto the speed limit on Google Maps. And I was like, what's the deal there? Why can't I read that? But I have noticed that both those apps, they may be sucking from the same database, are wildly inaccurate on a regular basis, and they seem to be inaccurate together. So both apps will say the same thing or very similar things. And you know, if you're watching that to judge whether or not you will get a speeding ticket, you're a moron. You need to watch the road signs. These are just, but sometimes you'll go miles in between a road sign. So this is just a little, an extra tool. And like there's a lot of construction on my typical route to work, and there's lots of temporary speed limits. And Google, both apps actually just don't even have the speed limit in that section of road. They're just not even trying. So somebody just said, yeah, let's just not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of improvement that for years, why isn't this here? Why isn't this here? And I swore then they would never have it. And now they have it. And I'm like you, I just use it as like a suggestion. I trust what I see on the road signs first and primarily, but yeah, once in a while I just don't see a signs. Then I look down, I say, oh, it says 45. Maybe I shouldn't be doing 60.
Yeah. And I've, you know, I'm aware that Waze is a thing. I used it way back when it was a game. Remember, you have to drive around and eat donuts
Yep.
before Google bought it. But It was just 2-3 weeks ago. I was driving for work. You know, sometimes I'll do 100 plus miles on a day, and as I'm cruising along, it said there's a speed trap ahead. My Google Maps beeped at me and audibleized. They're getting some of that Waze goodness in there, and sure enough, about a mile and a half up the road, there was a state trooper sitting there running radar. So that's a thing now. Which,
Did you hear about New York?
yeah, of course, like anybody to use any information ever.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a court decision back in the 70s or 60s or 70s that said you must advertise when you do these DUI things, and because they said it was a public safety thing. You know, you have to tell people what you're doing. So Waze is basically telling people that there's a DUI checkpoint up ahead, and I believe it was New York State cops sent a letter to Google threatening legal action. Um, I think that's pretty funny, and I know if I was Google, I ain't taking it off the map.
But I'm surprised that New York had time, you know, when they're preventing people from buying sodas larger than 20 ounces to even think about that.
Testify. Yes. Now for an actual app thing, and it really is. I mentioned at least one or two of these apps in the past, but I did see a XDA article highlighting them, but I didn't realize they were completely open sourced. It is a article called um, "Simple Mobile Tools," a collection of open source ad free apps. And I did bring, I want to say, Simple Gallery and Simple File Manager, I believe was what it was. But there's a whole suite of these applications. They are all completely 100% free. They are all completely 100% open source, and they are all completely 100% ad free. If you are, the real reason I'm bringing them, if you're at all interested in the development of Android applications, I learn best by example. So that means if I'm interested in making a file browser type app, and how does it access this, and how does it display that, and how does it dynamically know when to scroll, I could then download this app source code, look at it myself, and base my application off of it, and then keep expanding upon it. This to me is a really good way to strengthen the base, allow others to stand on the shoulders of people before them.
I like it. I don't, you know, it's a toss up as to whether they'll actually be useful to you. But yeah, in terms of and seeing what's inside, very cool.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, I'm not going to say these are going to, finalize everything for you 100% useful, but to me it's just a question of, can they give you a little bit of education if you're completely new to this kind of arena? And I can tell you, when it comes to Android app development, I'm pretty much as green as you can get. I've downloaded Android Studio, I downloaded the SDK, I loaded it up and said, "Huh, it loaded," and then I closed it and I never opened it up again.
I wasn't planning to do this, but just a little feedback on Pocket City that we brought. I downloaded that app, was completely engrossed in it for about 3 days, and then got my city to the point where everything was built. I'd bought all the land possible. I'd zoned everything, and then it was just trying to keep millennials happy. And the game, I completely lost all interest in it at that point. So it's uninstalled now, but it was a good run for a couple of days.
Well, I'll say this: you bring up one of the best things that I don't think anybody ever brings up, and that is, I don't want to say planned obsolescence, because that's not the right word. But to me, when you start doing anything, there should be an end, just like you're making a thing every week. You have a clear beginning and a clear end. There's nothing wrong with saying to yourself, I would like to do this, but let's only do it for X amount of time. I've been like that
Right.
with games. One of the things that this show enables me to do is find a game, even if I like the game a lot, a week or two later, I typically uninstall it because I have to. I have to move on. I have to do more stuff.
Yeah. It's with the, what do you have? 800 apps on your phone. You can't keep those forever.
Yeah, it's a bit much, and you know, it isn't like I have like a terabyte on my phone either. So you know,
And then one last email, or one other email, again, also from Brent. Brent, he's talking about password managers. He recommends Bitwarden. I'm not familiar with Bitwarden, but he has a little anecdotal advice there. He says, I heard if you want to leave LastPass after it expires, you cannot X to upgrade to premium. And he says, I got out before it expired. I never heard of that, but I guess I'm okay with that. You know, you have to be a paying customer to get the data. And if you're not a paying customer, you can't. I can see some defensibility in that, especially since most of those passwords are probably things they generated. You know, I get it. But anyway, that's a thing. Potentially, I don't plan to leave LastPass. There you go.
Eh, well, on the desktop it was weird because I could download the binary, I could launch it, it would launch, the login screen would come up, I would log in, and as soon as I logged in, it would just blip, disappear, and I got a segmentation fault error. I don't know what the hell that was. But I will say in the web interface, there is an export option, and I'm not a paid person, and basically it just spit out what was like a comma separated value. So I'm able to get the data out of it. Now it's a question of, do I actually have the time to set up a new password manager? And it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to have to take a peek at Bitwarden too, because I've now had a couple suggestions, and the bottom line is I'm only going to have time, I think, for one of these. So yeah, you know,
Yeah. And that's really the beauty of any password manager is that it grows organically over time. You know, you add a site, you add a site, you add a site. Transferring to another one uh, has got to be than invasive dental work. I don't even want to think about that. And you know, LastPass has me locked in for my $12 a month just because I don't want the pain of doing another one.
yeah, and it's just so cheap. It's a buck a month. I mean, literally, go see any movie and buy anything, a drink or popcorn or snack, and you're paying more money than that. It is so cheap.
Yeah, and until they do something egregious, and having been bought by a company that other people don't like doesn't count. Until but LastPass does something wrong, I'm a LastPass customer.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand waiting because I'm the same way. I will say I do believe that there is a clock ticking where before I'm not sure there was a clock ticking before they were bought out. I don't know if I could have pictured them doing anything bad. Now I can picture them doing stupid stuff, but they still haven't. That's the thing. They've still done everything right except forcing you when you renew to click auto renew, and you cannot disable auto renew until you renew, which is just, you know, guys in the meeting decided that's the way they're going to do it. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong, because if I was sitting in their position, I would probably say the same thing.
Right. I mean, the subscribe and forget model is long time honored. I mean, honestly, that's what we hope you will do when you go to Patreon. Right. The idea is you sign up for $1 a show, and then you forget about us. That's what we want. That's what everybody who sells a subscription. That's what Netflix wants. That's what Hulu wants. So, you know, and to make that more in their, I'm really sounding like a big government corporate shill tonight. Everything I'm saying is all pro government. I mean, not government, but pro business. But anyway, um,
Well,
I guess as I get older, I'm selling out to the man.
I'll say you're not pro business. That's pro big business. There's a difference. But
Right.
all business, including the stock exchange, is all based off the promise of future money. No company cares how much money you gave them today. What you gave them today literally means nothing. All they care about is being able to turn to an investor and say, we have this many people promising this much money in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Retention shows we're only going to have this much people drop off. We're shooting to have this many new people. It's all about the promise of future money, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's credit card debt or whether it's just going into a podcast player and clicking subscribe. It's all future promising. That's just what everything's based off of.
Yep. A customer in the future is worth two in the past.
Yes.
All right. You got another app for us?
Yeah, this one I'm going to bring, and this is the kind of thing where I'm pretty sure, Mark, you will not like. You will not like. And it's not a game. But it is the kind of app that right now it's free. It's free for the next 6 days. So this should be published before it gets off the free list. It's called MyScript Calculator 2. This to me is a little bit better than the app that you take a picture and it tells you the answer. Which to be honest, I haven't had time to even see if the app does do that. But what this app does do, it enables you to scribble with your finger, basically math problems, and it basically OCR and then gives you the answer to them, which is just a touch more work than just taking a picture of something and it giving you the answer. This is the kind of thing where my kid's in 8th grade. Pretty soon he's going to be in math classes. I'm not going to be able to instantly tell him the answers to things. And when that time comes, I'm going to need some help and I'm going to cheat because that's what I do. I'm a McLaughlin. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna prove you wrong, Dor. I actually love this. I think it's brilliant. Yeah. And a lot of parents see these things as cheater tools. And my thinking on that is when you cheat at math, you're only cheating yourself. You're taking the test or whatever, you're not going to be able to do this when you're, so you got to learn the thing. If this is a tool for learning the thing, I'm all in on it. And actually I could really see myself using this sort of thing from time to time, just for fun. What kind of sick man am I that this looks like fun to me? But it does. I mean, handwriting an equation there, and you can like scribble out and write something beside that. That's super cool. I would look at this just for the cool tech part of it and play with it just to see what kind of things the developer has put in there.
Well, here's my logic, Mark. I don't know if you ever heard of the man, what do they call it? Like they call them like brain hacks. I really hate the people who say about hacking your brain. I really want to punch them right in their throat when they say it, because there is no hacking your brain, you tard. But they say
in this episode,
I know, but they say that there's techniques you can use to do certain things. Like if you want to remember a specific thing, move your eyes back and forth as you say it. You're basically causing more work to happen, which will make it easier for you to remember something. I do believe there are tricks you can do to help peak your brain to do certain things. And honestly, I believe drawing the problems out on the tablet with your finger, on your phone with your finger, actually makes more retention happen. It actually makes it so I think it's possible for children to actually better understand the math itself. I'm all for kids getting the right answer with math problems, but what I really want my kids to do is to actually comprehend the math behind it. When you say 3 divided by 9, what does that actually mean? I don't care if you know the answer is 3, but do you actually comprehend what that means? And that's part of the teaching where I'm seeing kids being easily overlooked, is what I'm going to say. Because all they care about is, do you get the right answer? Do you get the right answer? Do you get the right answer? And yes, they say, show the work. I never even knew what the hell they meant when I was a kid and they said, show your work. What do you mean, show my work? 3 divided by 9 is 3. What do you mean? I draw 3, I draw a 9, I draw 3, I'm done.
It's not
I'm sorry. 9 divided by 3. I'm sorry. And that was part of my thing. I always said those math problems backwards. That's why I always liked multiplication so much better than division, because it didn't matter.
So when I'm helping my daughters with math, and they roll their eyes because I've said it so much. I always tell them, when you get the answer, feed it back into the equation and see if it's right. That is the perfect test. That's what equation means. This equals that. And they always get mad at me when I make them do that. But to your point of the thing, make sure you do the math once, then you reverse it and show yourself that you got it right. You'll understand it better. So yeah, so this thing here, this MyScript Calculator, could absolutely be used for cheating, but it could also be a really handy tool. And so I'm all in. Just installed.
Yeah, and it is normally, I want to say, $2.99, and for the next 6 days, completely free. Can't beat that.
So just a quick rant. I was in the shop last night working, and I had a piece that was 6 3/4 inches wide, and I needed to know the half of that. Right. So what's half of 6 3/4 inches? Well, half of 6 is 3. Half of 3/4 is 1.5 quarters. Right. So that's, it gets complicated there. So I asked Google. I had my phone laying on the bench there beside me. I said, "Hey Google, what's 6 3/4 divided by 2?" 3.878 or whatever. It's like, well, that when I'm on a ruler, that doesn't help me. I need to know the 16ths or the eighths of an inch. So I said, convert that to a fraction, and it completely failed on me. It was like, here's a website where you can go and see how to do that. But that seems to me like a really simple thing that you should be able to do. And so then I had this moment of intense frustration with Google, and I kind of stepped back and had an out of body moment. It's like, I just spoke to my magic piece of glass, and while it gave me the technically correct answer, it spoke back to me, by the way. The magic glass spoke back to me. I just didn't like the format in which it gave me the answer, and I was mad that my magic piece of glass gave me the right answer, but in the wrong way. And it was a real, look how far we've come, because that whole interchange just 10 years ago would have been impossible. And now it is so commonplace that I get mad when it can't, because I didn't say express 8.27 as fraction. I said express that as a fraction. So the context awareness there is a relatively new thing. And it was just one of those moments of, we've come so far, and yet I still get mad at the magic piece of glass.
Yeah, the hypothetical was if you had on a Google Glass and it could see you had a ruler in front of you, if it could then have known the intent and gave the right answer the first time, that's when you would have not even realized the magic that was going on, kind of thing. And you would just take it as commonplace and then just move on with your day, not even stop and think about it. You know what I mean? That's how humans are. We just get so accustomed. But I will say this: 170 podcasts now. 30 or 40 of them are news based. None of them are the ABC, CBS, Washington Post. None of that stuff. It's all everything else in news. And I'm listening to multiple people talk about. Here's a book from the 70s. Here's a book from the 80s where they say AI is 20 years away. Here's a book from the 70s where they say AI is 20 years away. Here's a book from the 60s, say AI is 20 years away. Here's a book from the 50s that say AI is 20 years away. And you turn to Elon Musk and say, how much further is AI? Oh, it's about 20 years away.
Right.
Because of that, at least some of the people I was listening to said, we are nowhere. We are about 200 years away, because we can't even describe how a brain actually works. We're going to be able to get devices that are be able to do very specific tasks, which is good, but I don't think I would call it AI. I think I would just call it better computing. It is weird. I will say that, but I'll say this. I'm looking forward to uploading all higher brain functions. And because like directions, don't tell me how to get someplace. Just give me the address, dummy. The phone's going to tell me where to go. My car is going to tell me where to go. Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, somebody, I told you last weekend we were helping somebody. They live up in the mountains, about an hour and a half out from here, and there are no cell towers up there. And so somebody was like, going to give me direct style way. I was like, no, just give me the address. Yeah, but they're up in the mountains. There's a road, right? Do they get mail? If they get mail, this is an address. Give me the address. And they were like, no, you'll never find. Give me the address. They gave me the address. I put it in. This is how cool Google Maps is. It said, you're likely to lose service between here and there. Would you like to download that map? Mm-hmm. said, yes, I would like to download that map. And it took me to within 20 feet of their driveway. And it's just amazing world in which we live, that, up on the top of a mountain, like if a mailman can get there, I can get there. I didn't need to know where it was. I didn't even know the name of the street. None of that mattered. And without cell service, even, God bless the U.S. military. Those satellites, the GPS satellites, work no matter where you are.
Yeah, I was behind somebody on a road the other day, and every road, it was only a 2-lane road. Every time we came upon a cross street, the person would slow down and go over and then speed back up and come back over. They're lucky I didn't have a gun on the connected to the front of my car, because I would have shot them, because what's wrong with you?
No, that's not the one. But we've all done that.
No, not in the last 2 years I haven't, because I got a damn phone that tells me when to turn.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that just drives me nuts. And I keep thinking to myself, how old are you? You're probably about the age of Donald Trump or Elizabeth Warren. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. Like Prince William, was it, who like almost killed people a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Prince, one of them, whatever. He's like 97 years old. Oh my goodness.
But he's a prince. What are you going to do?
Me? Nothing. He's a prince. Yeah, he'll have me killed.
So I just want to say a word of thanks to another Mark here, and I don't like to do last names, but he just upped his pledge in Patreon. Thank you for that, Mark. And this same Mark, also, I recognize the email address, became a Patreon supporter of Element OP Productions. So double thanks, Mark, for standing up and being counted. We really appreciate it.
And then we have Corey, I believe, that became a Patreon on February the 1st. So I want to thank him for that as well. This is like already 2019. That's fast growth. Our stock numbers are starting to tick up.
That's right. Yeah, and that's a subscriber, so that's a base that we can count on in the future, and stockholders like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have a voicemail, Mark.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
Okay, here we go.
Hey guys, Nathan, just listened to the latest episode, or maybe not latest, of Android App Addicts. Hey George, just wanted to throw you a quick mention here. The app that you mentioned, should I answer this or something like that, reminds me of Mr. Number, an app that had a few features that decided whether they should block calls or not. Quick aside, whether or not they're scraping your data, someone quickly gamed the system and started uploading numbers they thought should be blocked. So if you called Google to get tech support, Mr. Number said this is a spam call when they called you back. So just nice. A little bit of a funny there. Also wondering how they're managing to get bad numbers into their system if they don't look at anything of your own data. Just my 2 cents. Anyway, I also need to follow up with...
Yeah, I'll say this. I've had that app installed now for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, at least a month. Should I answer? The damn thing caught one number, and that's it. And it literally missed at least 10 numbers. So I'll say maybe they are doing the right thing with my data. Maybe they're not gameable, but maybe because they're not doing that stuff, they suck. I don't know. But they're definitely not doing a good job, as I'm gonna say. But when I do get the spam calls, I do my due diligence and I do go in and say, this is a unwanted call. What kind of call, and I report it. And I do see once in a while on my notification shade, it says that there's a updated database of numbers. So I am getting new numbers downloaded to my phone. It wouldn't shock me if one of two things, either they're just too slow in their update process, or it really is just too damn hard to catch all the numbers. Because I don't know if you heard, Mark, I want to say they said, the FCC said something like last year alone, 2.6 billion, maybe it was, spam phone calls happened, which is insane. And I would really like, if this is the year, we could maybe do something about it.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I'm probably just hanging myself out there to have trouble. Karma. I'm daring karma, but I get no spam phone calls ever. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't. I don't know why other people do, but I never get spam ever.
Well, the law of averages said that somebody out there now is getting twice as much because that's just how it works.
It's like in that movie Unbreakable, right? I'm the superhero that never gets sick, and Samuel L. Jackson is the guy that's always sick. So yeah.
Yeah, and they just had that movie come out too, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like movies for the most part. I'm kind of tempted to go see that movie, and I heard there's a good twist there by the end. But w-
Well, it's M. Night Shyamalan, so
yeah,
there's a twist.
Shamalama Ding Dong. I don't know why I say that, but I do. Um, yeah. So I mean, given the chance, also the Pine64 people who are doing the new laptop and they're doing a tablet, they literally are putting out a dev phone that's going to be running Linux that literally is going to take an 18650 battery hanging off the back. So the dev phone is not going to be sleek, it's not going to be sexy, but supposedly will be US carrier compatible running Linux. I'll still do it.
Battery, because Linux sucks at batteries.
Well, it's the kind of thing, it's all about processor. It's all about well, no, and here's the thing, I wanna say the screen resolution was only 720p. Every time you punch down the screen resolution number, you're gonna see exponential better battery life. So I think that's part of the reason why it had such a low res, but it's the kind of thing, even if it's successful in huge, fluffy, neon, flashing, air quotes, successful, I mean, what, 500 sold in the US? I mean, this thing, I mean, there's no way it's going to sell a lot. But somebody has to do it. Because Ubuntu bailed on us. So somebody has to do it sooner or later. I just hope that at least they get positive feedback from the people that do buy it. I don't expect it to be a great experience. I don't expect it to be, a lot of things. I don't expect to be able to speed up my podcast by 5x, but I do expect it to at least enable the certain niche person to have certain freedoms and liberties and control over their devices.
Yeah, you still got to get on.
Sorry.
You still having some lag issues here. You still got to get on one of the corrupt networks to use it. So, there's that.
And I did see a Raspberry Pi zero in air quotes Wi-Fi phone, and that's the kind of thing. If I lived in the heart of a city and I was okay with connecting on everybody else's Wi-Fi, I could see that being functional, but I can't see it being like my only device, because in times of emergency, times of crisis, which is the latest word American government officials have been saying a lot, crisis. If I'm in a crisis, I need a full featured phone. But a Wi-Fi phone could be a fun hobby-ish kind of thing. And I finally got a new chair, Mark. Damn, this chair hurts. That's all I'm gonna say. I went cheap.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's about time to wrap this show up because you're in pain.
Well, there's at least one more app I wanted to bring, and it's stupid. There's no way, there's no doubt this is just what I would consider a stupid app, but it's actually almost a little bit fun, and the best part is it's annoying as hell to the other people. Okay, it's called Kboard by 13.7 POINT 13.7. It's under personalization, E for everyone, completely free, no ads, no in-app purchases, 715 reviews, 4.6 average reviews, updated February 2nd, 2019, 1.2 megs in size, 50,000 plus installs, current version 4.1.4. What this is, think of this as a adjunct, a ad hoc, a secondary keyboard. What you do is you're in your normal, let's say, Gboard. And then when you're typing, you can then hit the globe on the keyboard. And what it does is it gives you a list of different things. Now, if you pause the video around 22 seconds, you'll see that there's emojis, there's block text, where if you literally type in a word and then hit block text, it literally converts all the text to being block like Scrabble blocks. There's a button called dad joke, where literally all you got to do is hit this and hit dad joke, and it will insert random dad jokes. And I've literally pushed it like 100 times, and every time it's a different dad joke. There's also cat fact, where you can just keep clicking it and keep getting different cat facts. And then there's functional buttons where you can literally say copy all, move one word forward, move one word back. And then there's like emoticons of like shrugging shoulders and stuff like that. This is literally stupid enough for me to install. I don't believe by looking at the app it's going to be able to, like, capture my clipboard or anything nefarious. But this is literally stupid enough for me to keep installed for a while, just because I'm pretty sure it's going to annoy everybody I communicate with.
Okay, annoyance for the win.
Yeah.
All right. So we've had a couple of apps. We've had some good discussion. My CPU is pegged at 100%, and I can't hear a word you're saying anyway. I have no idea what's going on. Donate to Patreon so I can get a new computer. So I will just say thanks for listening. I know we've been a little inconsistent in bringing the show lately, but we appreciate you, the audience. We appreciate the chat room, the YouTubers. For ask you, what are your final words of wisdom for the evening?
I want to thank everyone for their support. Never ever forget, support those who support you, because you should.
All right. I can't argue with that. Patreon.com/Android App Addicts. If you would like to be like Mark and Corey and stand up and be counted and make our shareholders happy, we would appreciate that. Patreon.com/Android. Door has that set up by the month. So if you say $5, that's $5 a month. If you say $1, that's a quarter a week, whatever. If you like what we do and you want us to keep doing it, then we would appreciate it if you supported us. Thanks for hanging out with us, Eric. We hope you'll be back soon. And that's it for this episode of the Android App Addicts podcast. Alrighty. Let's see. At the end there, just all of a sudden, CPU spiked.
It wouldn't shock me and it wouldn't shock me if my bandwidth is being pegged by something over here, like kids staying up, sneaking up. A couple times having tablets in their beds, just watching stupid British kids playing video games.
That is a thing, absolutely a thing.
And I say that because I don't do it, so obviously it's stupid.
All right, let me see if I can come up with an intro for this. All right, here we go. Mark's Pro Big Business. Door teaches you how to cheat, and dad jokes are all around. Dang, I'm so close. You can edit this. That much and more this week on Android App Addicts.
And I completely forgot, Mark. Next week, I want to try to use Nextcloud Talk in place of Google Hangout, just to see if it's, I don't know, better or works or whatever.
Does it have a video component?
Yeah. I thought. Now that you, I thought. It has to. I know I did it before, and I don't think the guy that I was doing it with had anything extra on his server. I think it was just the default Nextcloud Talk, because I was using the default Nextcloud Talk app on the phone. It was nothing special.
Okay.
Thought I clicked the wrong button on a computer and it went boom. Okay, good. Oh, man. Oh, man. Crikey. Well, I'm happy you have off tomorrow, Mark. Having off's a good thing.
Me too. Yeah, and I just took a mental health day. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's the gimmick. 90% of the time I take off, it's not for me. It's for somebody else. But I will say, I don't know if I told you this before. I looked at my leave at work. I had 340 hours of leave. It's like, what? Why am I here? I should be home. The hell's wrong with me? Because I know, I can carry a maximum of some insane number over. But when we retire now, they won't let us just put in a paper, say we retired, and then just stay getting paychecks for like 3 months. They won't let us do that anymore. They insist that when you do that, you still come in 1 out of 10 days. So even if I have 9 months worth of leave, I have to come into the office physically 1 out of every 10 days for that time.
To use up your leave.
Yeah. Which I understand why they do, because we've had too many people just get up and go, and then we've had knowledge just disappear. So, I understand it. But I already share everything I know. I shove everything I know down other people's throats. Because I want to make sure if I get hit by a bus, everything's going to still work.
Yeah, my old job, I literally had a DVD that had instructions and documentation on it. I didn't want it on the servers or anything, and it was bright red. And on the case, it said "Open in case of emergency." It was everything that somebody would need to know to bootstrap the system if I got hit by a bus.
Right.
The pain was updating that.
Trust me, I understand. I understand. But you got to. I mean, due diligence. You got to do due diligence.
Right.
Or else you're as bad as the people that you get angry at work.
People I'm angry at work these days are the network admins that think that the best way to secure something is to make it so secure it's unusable.
Well, they have a point, Mark.
It is the most secure thing possible. Yeah. It's also unusable.
I know. I think as English people, we need a new word. There should be a word, because security really should be like some word trust, but changed a little bit. And then when something is unusable, it's not security anymore. It's, Flarnop or something. I don't know. I mean, there needs to be a way to clearly state, yes, this is secure, but it sucks.
Right. They, we've got, of course, we've got a whole security team, and they routinely do fake spear phishing emails.
Oh, yeah.
And if you click on them, you get this thing saying, if this had been a real thing, they got me today.
Oh,
they almost never hit me, but they got me today. I clicked on the link. Damn. Now, I did it on my phone using BlackBerry Work. So I was about as secure as possible, but I still clicked on the link.
Yeah. Did you see that Google website? Phishing test, I want to say. It was the kind of thing. Well, here's the thing. It's not Google. Google's parent is Alphabet. The company that did it is called, it's one of their subsidiaries called Jigsaw, I want to say. Google phishing test. Oh, sorry. Maybe it's in my Git pocket. Because it was, I'm not going to say it was great. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say stupid with you. Oh, fantastic. But it was actually pretty good. I will say it was only 7 long. It's the kind of thing I really do insist that if I was at like a small business, I would insist this link gets passed around to a lot of people. Here you go. Ready? Put it in the chat. phishingquiz.withgoogle.com. And if you click on the bottom, you see it was Jigsaw was the company that actually did it. Which is why it looks like a phishing link. Like half the places where I shared this to, they're like, I'm not stupid enough to click that. Did you get phished or something, man? No, man, click it. It's only 8 questions long. 7 out of 8. I was so mad. Ugh! I was so mad. But that's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't click nothing in any email, even work email. I tell the people, "Oh, no, I'm not clicking it." "But you have to." "No, I don't. No, I'm not clicking it." If you need to send me something, you need to communicate with the domain administrator and get them to copy it from your computer, put it on my computer, because I ain't clicking it. They hate me, hate me. And then, of course, our security lessons come out in an email with a friggin' clickable link. I'm like, "You guys are stupid. God, you guys are stupid." Yeah, I really like.
You get immediate feedback. Oh, see, I missed the first one. The very first one.
Damn.
I missed it.
And I like the fact that it tries to tell you what to look for and not just, trick you. And Guy in the Tub says the apps I'm making in my web development boot camp are very secure. They don't function at all. Hard to get more secure than that. Damn right.
Okay, here's what I don't like is I got it right, but I see to move on in this phishing ad thing. So yeah, the thing that they got me with today, the reason it was so well crafted is it looks a lot like the kind of stuff that the company sends out. And the company often uses third party like engagement surveys and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, I looked at the link. I mean, I checked it, and it looked like the sort of thing that our company would use. One of the things they did earlier, they try to be pretty unpredictable, but one of the things they did recently was when you click the link, it made you log in with your email and password. And my password was my email was not going to tell you and this isn't my real password. But I'm sure in the metrics, I was still listed as one of the people that logged in because I doubt they're parsing things to see what it was. But I just wanted to see what it would do.
Oh, I can tell you, I would have typed something very profane just so if they are parsing it, they could see. Oh, he got it. Yeah, yeah. But and here's like the kind of thing I told the security team, and I say that in big fluffy neon air quotes too. All you need to do, security team, is set up an email inbox and have that inbox called "Is this safe?" And then what you do is you tell people that if they get an email and they're not sure about it, forward it to "Is this safe?" And then you have a scraper capture everything in that inbox and run it through tools. And then you can reply back with people saying, "This is not a safe link. Thank you for reporting it." You need to give people the opportunity to check something off of somebody else and not just rely on their own, you know, knowledge and instincts. And they were like, "We've never heard of that." Yeah, I know. We don't know how to do that. Oh, trust me, I know that. Why don't you read? Or, when you go to a SANS class, why don't you ask one of the people getting paid like $200,000 a year to maybe, have you heard of this before? Because they exist. You know what I mean? It's like they don't offer any way to help educate the people except for stupid PowerPoint presentations that are bad and wrong. Most of the time they're wrong. Oh man, I hate those things so much, Mark. Oh, I do. And I always open them in Internet Explorer just because, you know, I gotta send the message that I don't care.
All right, I'm out of here. Have a good evening.
All right, Mark.
File
Thank you very
should
much.
be.
Oh, and Nextcloud's working good so far.
Yeah, it's faster too. Maybe it's just because you've upgraded the hardware.
Yeah. I did. I had to stop and think. I don't think the other one. Well, no, the other one did have a gigabit NIC and it did have a SATA interface. This is gigabit NIC and USB 3 interface, but the processor is much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take that.
All right. See you next week, man.
All right, man.
Later, YouTubers. I'm assuming we're still broadcasting.
Yep. Kill the feeds. I gotta upload this and I gotta finish this. Oh my goodness, my brain is hurting. My brain is hurting. Oh, yeah. Can upload this. Okay, so, uh, I gotta oh, man, I gotta bookmark this stuff. I hate when there's only 2 people. I can't bookmark anything when there's only 2 people. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna click that, bookmark this, and I saw some of the links in the, from the show titles. Never have an idea of what to do for show titles. I'm not even gonna lie. You can tell when I do them because they suck. Okay, so that's bookmarked. That is, so now Control C, show, click, bang, close. No. Yeah, a Valentine's Day coming close only because the ads on podcasts will not stop. Oh my goodness. All of the podcasts I listen to have crap ads are already inundating me with Pro Flowers and all these other companies that absolutely suck. Like, stop in the store and buy something. You don't need these horrible services. And my dad actually worked for one of them. Of course, they don't hire anybody. They're all subcontracted out. And he was like, this is the worst job I've had in 50 years, kind of thing. They treat me like dirt. They act like they're doing me a favor, kind of thing. He was not very happy at all. Working for flower delivery. He said half the people were upset. 'Cause it came they considered to be too late or at a bad time. He said the, company kept telling me I would get, so many tips a month. I didn't get no tips. Yeah, that's not good. I don't wanna support that kinda crap. Okay, now, Pocket City Free. I still think it's a really good app. Even though Mark said he got tired of making the millennials happy. Still think it's a good game. Well, I just keep once in a while just nuking and paving the city and starting over. Because I like seeing, how far I can take stuff and trying a completely different design. Wow, my throat hurts. My oldest is some kind of sickness going on. Always keep saying head cold. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting some too. But I will say, since I've started losing weight, it seems like I'm just not getting sick as much. I will say I do like. It's you know, lose a lot of weight when somebody at work literally hated you, called you lazy, had you kicked out of a division, threatened to write you up multiple times, turns to you and says, "You look really good. You look like you've lost a lot of weight." You know, there's nothing I could think of saying that wouldn't have gotten me in trouble, 'cause I really did wanna say something quite mean back. I just replied, "Yeah, it wasn't easy. Part of it is just not eating. I kinda like food." Bang, bang. That's a good thing about not doing a lot of apps. Bookmarking is easy. Okay, so now I gotta bookmark all of them. And I believe this is still free. Let me see. Yeah. There's a game. I'm really sorry, Jai. I'm really sorry about the boot camp, man. I gotta say though, man, listen, if you get really upset, just turn on Monty Python, Life of Brian, and watch all the crap they go through, and then just remember at the end they're singing the song. Always look on the bright side of life. You gotta look on the bright side. There has to be something you can glean out of it that makes it, I don't want to say worth it because that's not going to happen, but at least, you know, help something. Um, yeah, I hate saying it, kind of tough, watching, Milton Friedman talks about negative, oh God, negative tax income was a term that he said. It's basically universal basic income kind of thing, but he was talking about it back in the 60s and 70s. Um, I truly believe if we were able to figure out how to really let people do what they like to do and not what they have to do, it will help a lot. But the most popular path towards such a solution is socialism, where everyone gets paid the same money, whether you're a doctor or whether you're a garbage man. And, you know, they haven't really worked so far, at least not to the level that you really can always work for what you want to work. But yeah, passion projects are always the people I try to support, not people who I know have no choice, but if this doesn't work, they don't make money. Um, I put a link here in this game. I'm gonna play a little bit more, but it's mature 17. Right from the get go, this is not a kid friendly game. But damn, this game seems cool and a lot of fun. 11-bit studio, I think we had on the show before, at least for one other app in the past. But it is a try and buy, completely free. You can do a little bit in the beginning without paying anything. The unfortunate thing is if you buy it, I want to say it's $5. You know what I mean? So it's not a really cheap game. The only reason I saw it was because it came out on the Switch this past week for 15 bucks, and I figured if I can try it for free on Android. Then I see, well, if I like it on Android, I can buy it for a third the price. And it's the kind of game, to be honest, mature 17, I don't want on my Switch. I don't want my kids to boot it up because literally, like 2 minutes into it, it starts cussing up a storm because it's supposed to be a police chief and a bunch of police officers, and stereotypically they speak very frankly to each other. I did see some, clipboard app thing, with Pi. Um, it doesn't the only thing I'm sure about is it's gonna be worthless, because the people I really wanna stop getting my passwords is, Google itself. I will not download that Google Chrome add-on that checks your password, because to check your password means Google Chrome has to save your password and see your password. So I'm not partaking in that. I'll always use a third party um, password thing just for reasons. And the clipboard thing, it's one of those things I worry about implementation, and I hate saying it, but them doing it just means now it's going to be a target for people to figure out how to hack around. Where if you just teach people to not use the clipboard for sensitive data, you don't have the problem. So, what I hate to say is they're drawing a target on the clipboard. They're going to draw more attention to the clipboard. And I don't, because then people are going to feel like they have safety with it. And that's just scary. Yeah, I got to read this slow. Did you get your Valentine's Day me on these? No. Nope, sure didn't. And, the only thing I'm sure of is I'm going to disappoint my wife because, that's what I do. Oh, Q. You're right. It was Q, not Pi. Pi is finally starting to roll out correctly, is what I'm hearing on a lot of devices, which is funny because Q is getting ready to launch. I don't think we've had this much of a delay in people getting an OS from 2P to Pi, but man, they kept saying it's going to get better. It doesn't seem like it's getting better to me. Um, and yeah, I'll share with you guys here. Um, I literally this past week bought a $50 Android phone that says it has 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. It's coming from Hong Kong because it's coming from Hong Kong. I really hope it doesn't catch on fire and burn my house down, but I'm going to buy it and I'm going to take my phone and probably give it to my wife for at least a week, see if she likes it, to like test it. And while she's testing that, I'm going to try this other phone. $50. 50 friggin' bucks. It's hard to go wrong. Well, of course, unless it burns your house down. It's hard to go wrong with 50 bucks. The farming one, yeah, I'll tell you right now, man, it's the kind of game you do not want to get into unless you literally have free time or you literally have a mental condition where you need isolated time, peace and quiet time. Um, like on one of the next DDGs, I'm going to basically just land-based meditation because it's the placebo effect. There is nothing to it because there can't be anything to it. Just buy some coloring books and some crayons and think positive things as you color things in. You'll get the exact same results as meditation. Meditation is a religious phenomenon. It's not a human thing. It's not a self-enlightenment thing. It's a religious thing. And it offers as much to you as anything else does. Exercising, running, coding, touching yourself, anything else. It's just that, that's all it is. Um, and it's really upsetting me having these people sell these apps promising some kind of crazy results from it, where all they can promise you is the placebo effect, where you'll see some small measurable change that they cannot directly say came because of meditation alone. But that's just the way it is. Uh, I, I used some flower service from Mother's Day a few years ago. Oh yeah, yeah. I used it. I've been married to the wife for a decade. I used it at least 3 times at 3 different times. Every time, complete disappointment, or the thing came damaged, or it came really late, or they didn't even bring it to her. They literally just dropped it off at the front door and took her 3 days to get it because they don't care because they know even if they give it to her directly, they're not going to get a tip. They're not going to get a thanks. They're not going to get anything else. So they don't care. Um, yeah, they're really bad. And here's what I'm believing more than ever: the more something is advertised, the worse it is at what it's advertising. You know what I mean? It's almost like everyone has had to have known that couple when they were younger, and the one person will not stop asking the other one, "Are you cheating on me? Are you cheating on me? Are you cheating on me?" And then it always turns out the one that was saying, "Are you cheating on me?" is the one who's actually cheating on you, kind of thing. I mean, that's always the case, it seems like. And a company insisting that they do flower delivery, if there's one thing I can be pretty positive of is they really do suck at flower delivery. They're really good at taking your money. They're not really good at flower delivery. And then you have edible arrangements kind of crap, which I mean, literally hire a Mexican or whatever to go to the local grocery store and cut up a melon. You'll save a lot of money. Your money will stay in a local place and you'll probably get a better product and no Ebola or whatever. I don't trust any of those things. Anything I'm hearing advertisings for on the radio, I gotta believe. But they're ripping off enough people to afford these advertisements. Yeah, Stardew Valley isn't on Android yet, and when it is, oh man, it's gonna suck. KeyPass, that's the one that I want to give a try to, because KeyPass has that KeyPass keyboard. I want to say I can't remember what it was called. I want to try it. Man, that Huawei thing, here's the whole thing. Us saying we don't trust Huawei because, 5G, they're gonna snoop on us, they're gonna snoop on us. Same thing. I think the only reason we're saying it is because 'cause we're doing it to everybody else. Because we know how easy it is. We know what can be gleaned from it, so we're terrified of other people doing it to us. There's no other reason for us to complain so much about it, because there's no evidence that anybody has seen that they're actually using their technology to spy on anybody. Just like, deep in Linux. People won't stop saying how it has Chinese spyware in it. Really? Show it to me. You can download the source code and there is none, but people keep saying it. And I think those people who keep saying it are literally like child molesters or whatever, trying to hide something that they're doing, is what it seems like. You know, if you have reasons to not trust anybody, don't just say, well, because that's not a reason. Not at all. Yeah. And we literally took the president and founder's daughter and ordered Canada to arrest her. I mean, I don't know if there's any more underhanded things you can do than that. If you want the entire country to hate us and companies to hate us, well, that's how you do it. You know, arrest their daughter. And here, and the Koreans already have all my wife's data. She uses Samsung. What's the difference between careers be like be between South Korea having all her data or China having all her data? I don't think either one have her best intentions at heart. I gotta bookmark the apps I didn't bring. Oh, wait a minute. I think I was stupid enough to not even get them off of my Get Pocket list. Did I? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, oh my goodness, that one hurt a little bit. So I don't know. No, I didn't delete any of them. So that makes bookmarking much easier. So let's just close, 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 close. That's all the apps I didn't bring. Like 7 of them. Oh, I gotta get Mark's thing in the notes. Things I've made. Insert one above. Bang, bang, bang. View original. Bang, 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 bang. Now I got it bookmarked. Okay, so yup. Post, show, close, close. Now I need to start the upload of yeah. Man, my head is killing me. I know. A beer will help with that. Okay, first thing. Let me Nextcloud, AAA, audio, raw, modification date, modification date, Control C, Control C, Control C, Control V. So copy. Okay, now I gotta close that one, go back to home. Bada bing. Well, say I'm liking this keyboard, and I think it's quieter than what I've been using in the past. And it's Bluetooth, which I always said I would never use a Bluetooth keyboard on a show. How can you be so stupid to use a Bluetooth keyboard on a podcast? But I just charge it micro USB when I'm not using it. And when I do use it, the damn thing lasts for every bit of 16 plus hours. So I can easily use it and not stress about it. And it even goes through all the different color patterns, backlit keyboard. And for the most part, it's quiet. So I'm definitely liking this. I gotta fix my color. Gotta have green. Okay, so now we have to come here, live stream, because it was still streaming. I figured out I can copy it from there. Events. Man, I do feel like I'm getting sick. Edit. Bada bing. Oh, okay, first thing I gotta do is say links. Hard return. Come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 links. Wow, that's low. Bang, 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 bang. I will tell you, I really do like gedit. Ain't no Notepad++. Be dang good. Control C. Now, first off, we hit that. We Control A. We come over here. We paste that. We come back here. Control C. We come back there. We paste that. We come back here. We save changes. That should, yes. Now I come here. That's still uploading. Custom thumbnail. Next. Cloud. DG. Website. Images. Bang. Bada bing. Okay. Yeah, that actually worked fine. Oh, I really do like Quazzle too. Looking at a ROM today. What the hell are you looking at a ROM for? Foundation. There was another one I heard of like 2 weeks ago, and it was really flaky. I don't know. I trust that render on their page, but they can't do it. Well, there's a lie right there in the very beginning of their page. Your data is your data. We build desirable, open source, privacy enabled smartphone operating systems. No, you don't. You're lying. They can't. They can't. If you look at Replicant, Replicant is the yardstick, it's the measuring stick. They basically stopped doing it on devices for the last 3 years because every device made in the last 3 years have the GPUs are so tightly integrated with the CPUs and the radio antennas that most of the radio antennas and most of the GPUs are ran using closed source proprietary binary blobs, which is not open source. So they cannot make an open source operating system for a device that's code is not open sourced, which is why with a Linux phone is the only way we're going to get anything modern that's truly open, that truly respects your privacy and your data. So this is the kind of thing, it's nice that they're trying to do stuff, but it can't be private. Nothing about it can be private. I can't remember the name of the OS either. All of our phones Just like on Intel motherboards have firmware baked into the motherboard that even if your computer's powered off, as long as there's a power plug plugged into it, they can get into the computer. That's how it's built. It's designed for that. It's called vPro. It's how administrators administrate boxes. On phones, there's an operating system that's just on the processor and goes between the radio antenna, the processor, and all the IO. It's a management operating system, but that's closed source that we don't have any access to. So we have no idea what's going on there either. Um, there was another one, a good Raspberry Pi posting that's going to be talked about on the next mini PC show, where they actually are the first people I've ever heard document why the Raspberry Pi is not open source. There is a closed sourced operating system that runs between the GPU and the CPU, and it actually handles the entire boot sequence. Actually handles all the graphics, and it actually handles all the IO. So you cannot have a truly open operating system on any Raspberry Pi device. That's part of the deal they made with Broadcom for the support that they got and the services that they got and the affordability they got for the chips was, dude, you're going to bake this into your chip, and they don't have a choice. So, anybody who says it's completely open source or it's open source, and with that said and done, they just don't know what they're talking about. And I mean, if this E Foundation runs smooth, I'm sure it's cool. But I mean, if history's any example, this thing's going to be flaky as shit, and probably, you know, will only work on a very small subset of devices. So, can I see supported devices? E Solutions. Privacy, privacy, privacy. Mobile phone, our mobile roadmap. Now available. First beta is here. Seeking hardware partners. Tell me to select devices. Essential phone. Fairphone. Yeah. Pixels, Nexuses. None of them are open phones. Yeah. HTC. HTC. We're not even going to hear about HTC in a year. They're going to be dead. Huawei Honor 5? Jesus. It's like 4 years old. Lee Echo. Still is a good phone, people swear. Moto E, Moto G. 2015 is the newest one. Man. OnePlus 5T. It's over a year old. Samsung S9. Well, here's the thing. If they're able to be installed on Samsung devices, then they're not replacing any of the kernel when they flash the ROM, because you can't replace the ROM you cannot replace the kernel on a Samsung device. Uh, Knox makes it you cannot replace the kernel on any Samsung device. So, you know, this is a nicety. Last edited 1 month ago was the last time they got more phones to update. Let me see if I can find the other one. Let me see if I can find the other one. Let's go Google settings in the last month. I'm just going to look for new Android ROM. Let's see. Paranoid Android. No, nope, nope, nope. AOKP. Copperhead. Yeah, that was a good one. Lineage. Yeah, no. MyUI. No. OmniROM. No. Paranoid. No. Indus. No. AOSP Extended. No. Let me see. XDA. That's a horrible link. Forums, OnePlus. I do want to say 6T was one of the ones that was able to install that new one. XDA still sucks. I mean, this is horrible. Trying to navigate. This is pathetic. I mean, it's such a good old boys club too. Okay. Wait a minute. CR Android, AOSP, Carbon. Maybe it was Carbon. Let me look for Carbon. Carbon ROM. Let's see. I don't know. It's based on the Android open source project. Surprise. Oh, wait, it's not surprise. I'm not going to be able to find it. That sucks. Ow. All right, man. Lineage. Well, Lineage already offered a Google-less version, I thought. I thought that was part of the reason behind it. I don't know. Oh, man. All right, I got to stop this stream or else I can't finish my editing and stuff. Thanks for coming out. Eric, man, I really hope you feel better, man. If you need me for anything, don't hesitate. Let me know, man. Oh, processing done. Okay, good. I can at least upload that. I'll talk to everyone later.